Hello everyone, I'm Miranda Moon and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing the second part of the Sylvia Likens video. I know it's kind of late. I've kind of been... we won't talk about that. But anyway, this is going to be the murder trial, and there's a lot of information in this about the case and, you know, what happened to everybody, what the charges were, and all that kind of stuff. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Sylvia Likens' murder trial began on April 18, 1966. Gertrude Benicheski was tried, as well as two of her children, Paula and John. Coy Hubbard and Richard Hobbs were tried as well. The prosecution made it clear that they had the intention to seek the death penalty because it was a smallish town, kind of, and everybody knew what happened. Everybody knew how horrific it was, how just heinous this whole situation was, so they were going to seek the death penalty. Coy Hubbard's lawyer, as well as Richard's lawyer, Paula's lawyer, and John's lawyer, claimed that they had been pressured into participating in these acts by Gertrude. Gertrude pled not guilty by reason of insanity. She tried to say that because her depression and her health was so bad at the time that she was crazy, I guess. The first witness to testify for the prosecution was Deputy Coroner Charles Ellis. He testified on April 29, 1966, as to just how horrific the treatment of Sylvia was. He stated that her fingernails were broken backwards. Her lips were essentially in ribbons just where she had been chewing them, whether it was from the abuse, like her accidentally biting her lips from being abused, or if it was from anxiety or whatever. Her lips were just in shreds, basically. Sorry about the fly. It's summertime. My doors are always open. He testified that she was likely in a state of severe shock in the few days leading up to her death, and that she was delusional, and even if she had tried to escape, she probably wouldn't have been able to because she was just so far gone at that point. And it was just horrific. He said that even though her genitalia was swollen considerably, that there was no sign of molestation. She had cuts and gashes on much of her skin, covering her body, like they were all over her. She had abrasions on almost every inch of her body. Fly, I will fucking end you. May 2nd and 3rd, Jenny Likens testified. She recounted that Gertrude, Richard Hobbs, Coy Hubbard, and Paula had abused her physically and emotionally. There was no provocation at all. Sylvia had done nothing to garner this kind of treatment. She was a good, sweet girl. She was just a nice girl that everybody loved. And I am assuming that it was jealousy that drove these people to treat Sylvia the way they did. It baffles me how somebody could do that to another human. She also testified that the rumors that were spread around by Paula and the rest of that family or whatever, they were all false. They were rumors about her being promiscuous or being a troubled teen. They were all completely false. I think that that might have played a role in nobody reaching out to help Sylvia, because there had to have been people that knew. Their neighborhood kids. Somebody had to have had a conscience to think, I need to help this girl. But they would hear Gertrude and Paula talk essentially shit about this girl and think she was just the worst and thought she deserved what she got. She stated that the abuse that they both suffered, even though Jenny's was a lot less severe, it started 2 weeks after moving into the Benicheski house. She recounted how the abuse escalated so rapidly and so severely. There was a point where Sylvia could not produce tears because she was so dehydrated. She would cry, but nothing would come out. Jenny wept on the stand as she recalled the few days before Sylvia died. She said to her, "Jenny, I know you don't want me to die, but I'm going to die. I can tell it." Randy Lepper corroborated her story of Sylvia not being able to produce tears as he'd seen her cry, and no real tears came out. Lepper smirked on the stand as he stated he had beaten her on several different occasions, 10 to 40 different incidences. May 10th, Baptist minister Roy Julian testified to knowing Sylvia was being abused, but failed to report it because Gertrude told him she was basically prostituting herself for money. 13-year-old Judy Duke testified that she had witnessed Sylvia having salt rubbed into her open wounds on her legs and all over her body. May 13th, Richard Hobbs testified in his defense that when he helped Gertrude brand Sylvia with "I am a prostitute and proud of it" across her stomach, that even though it brought blood to the surface of her skin, that it was light. I've seen the crime scene photos. That was not light. Those were bad. Gertrude denied any involvement. She claimed that her kids and the neighborhood kids did it in her home without her knowledge, that she was too wrapped up in her own depression and her own illnesses and poor health to worry about what her kids were doing in her own home. When questioned about physically abusing Sylvia and Jenny, she claimed that she had tried to spank Sylvia one time, but she was so overcome with emotion that she could not continue spanking her, and she stopped and never did it again. The trial continued. One witness stated she heard Paula bragging on the church bus that she had broken her wrist because she had hit Sylvia so hard. The witness said that she closed her bragging of beating Sylvia with saying, "I tried to kill her." A court-appointed doctor came to the conclusion that Gertrude was in fact completely sound of mind and knew exactly what she was doing. She was completely aware of her actions. So the insanity plea, that didn't fly. The trial lasted 17 days. On May 19, 1966, after an 8-hour deliberation, Gertrude Baniszewski was found guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing her to life in prison. Paula Baniszewski was found guilty of second-degree murder. Richard Hobbs, Coy Hubbard, and John Baniszewski Jr. were charged with manslaughter. Paula was sentenced to life in prison. Richard Hobbs, Coy Hubbard, and John Jr. were sentenced to 2 to 21 years in the Indiana Reformatory. September 1970, the court reversed the convictions of Gertrude and Paula due to the fact that they had asked repeatedly for a change of venue and to be tried separately because they knew people around there were a little bit biased and they didn't think it was fair to be tried together. So they tried to ask to be tried separately and to have a change of venue, and they were denied multiple times. So they finally got a leg up on that, and they overturned their convictions and tried them again. They were retried in 1971. Paula pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and was released in December 1972, despite having tried to escape in 1971. Gertrude was again convicted of first-degree murder and still sentenced to life. The next 14 years, Gertrude spent being a model prisoner and was even considered a mother figure to the girls she was imprisoned with, as her nickname in prison was Mom. She became a devout Christian and changed her name to Nadine Van Fossen, which was a combination of her maiden name and her mother. I don't know. It was a combination of names. I should have researched that. I did, but I kind of forgot. And I didn't make a note of it. She was released from prison on parole on December 4th, 1985. She moved to Iowa and never fully took responsibility for her actions or her role in Sylvia's torture and death. She died of lung cancer on June 16, 1990, at the age of 61. Jenny Likens married a man named Leonard Wade, and they had 2 kids. She died of a heart attack on June 23, 2004, at the age of 54. After Paula was paroled in 1972, she changed her identity. She worked as an aide to a school counselor, but she was fired when they realized who she was, when they figured out her true identity. Richard Hobbs, Coy Hubbard, and John Jr. served less than 2 years before being granted parole in 1968. Hobbs died of lung cancer at the age of 21, 4 years after his release. Coy Hubbard stayed in trouble, in and out of prison for most of his life until he died. He died of a heart attack the same year that An American Crime, the movie based on this case, was released at the age of 56. John Benecheski Jr. became a lay minister, and he counseled couples and stuff like that. He died of diabetes on May 19th at the age of 52. So no one really had a good demise in this. It's safe to say that I guess everybody kind of got what they deserved in this. I don't think they deserved to even ever get out of prison, because if you look at the crime scene photos, which I was doing today, as I was researching this video, and it was just absolutely god-awful. Like, the house was absolutely disgusting. The place where they kept Sylvia was just inhumane. What they did to her was just, there are no words to describe how badly that girl was treated and how sickening this case is. So I'm happy to say that everyone that was involved in it is dead now, and honestly, my opinion, they deserve it. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you also like my channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload, whenever I do that. Thank you for watching. If you know of any other crime cases you'd like me to cover, send me a message. You can send me a DM on Twitter, or you can comment below. Just anything helps. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Goodbye, guys.